Welcome, one and all, to the Questionable Entities Games, where our favourite questionable entities from across philosophy compete to decide once and for all which of them actually exist. Joining us this time are returning competitors, the Platonic Forms and Philosophical Zombies, and we also have some newcomers, including Square Circles and Superman. As with previous games, there are 3 rounds in which our competitors will battle it out to determine how strong each of them really are: the logical possibilities round, the physical possibilities, and the metaphysical possibilities. Whoever is left at the end is awarded the prestigious honour of actually existing, and believe me, it's a tough competition out there, folks. Before we begin this year's games, here's a word from our sponsor, Possible Worlds. When making arguments about possibility, some philosophers find it useful to use possible worlds, and it works something like this. We can call our world, the world we're living in right now, the actual world, and it contains all the stuff that happens to exist. On the other hand, a possible world contains all the stuff that might have existed if the universe had been different. We can all imagine some situations in which things in the actual world could have been different, and all of these situations are contained within their own possible worlds. Some possible worlds are quite close to ours. There are worlds that are pretty much the same as the actual world, except for one difference. For example, we can imagine a possible world in which there's life on Mars, or in which McDonald's ice cream machines actually worked when you wanted a McFlurry. Other possible worlds are quite different from ours. We can imagine worlds in which the matter that constitutes the sun never organised itself well enough to give light, and life on Earth never formed. We can imagine worlds in which the dinosaurs were never wiped out, and human life never formed. There are also worlds with different laws of physics, where no stars or planets could form, and in which the entire universe is an artificial consciousness named Margaret. In other words, our actual world is one in an infinite sea of possible worlds, where anything could have conceivably been different. Some even go as far as to suggest that all possible worlds actually exist, so to someone living in one of those worlds, their world would be the actual world, and ours would be just another possible world. So with that, let's proceed to our first round of the Questionable Entities Games, the Logical Possibilities round. Something is logically possible if there are no logical contradictions involved, so all possible worlds fall into this round. For example, using our possible world from earlier, it's logically possible that life could exist on Mars. The idea that there could be life on Mars does not contain any logical contradictions, so we could express that there is a possible world in which life exists on Mars. On the other hand, there are some things that are logically impossible, such as square circles. Because squares and circles have properties that are incompatible with one another, it's impossible that something could share both properties at the same time. Therefore, we could say that there are no possible worlds in which square circles exist. So in the first round of the Questionable Entities Games, it seems that possible worlds have knocked square circles out. Before we move on, a little side note about physics. It seems as though the laws of physics are contingent in our universe rather than necessary, because it's logically possible for them to have been different. For instance, the speed of light in our world is 299,792,458 meters per second, but we can conceive of it being a different number without any logical contradictions. There's more about different laws of physics in a previous video, but right now, back to the games. Although the laws of physics might be different in other possible worlds, in our world, for whatever reason, they are what they are. The next round concerns things which are physically possible, which means anything that's consistent with the laws of nature in the actual world. For example, it's physically possible to stick up your middle finger at the President of the United States. Nothing about our laws of physics or human physiology would prevent you from doing this, although I wouldn't recommend it. On the other hand, something is not physically possible if the laws of physics in this universe would prevent it from happening. As a fun little homework assignment, see whether unaided human flight is possible by jumping off the nearest building and flapping your arms. All things that are physically possible are a subset of what's logically possible. So if something is physically possible, it must also be logically possible. But not all logically possible things are physically possible. The idea of unaided human flight is logically possible because we can easily imagine it, and there is no contradictions in the idea itself. It might be the case that there's a possible world in which humans are flapping about all the time. We might even say that if gravity were weaker, then humans would be able to fly unaided. So the impossibility of human flight is contingent on the laws of physics, which are themselves contingent on the way the universe happens to be. So in this round, unaided human flight has been knocked out of the race. Now it's on to the next and most interesting round in the games. What is metaphysically possible is all the ways in which the universe could have been. All the possible worlds therefore represent what is metaphysically possible. Traditionally in philosophy, it's thought that all the things that are logically possible are also metaphysically possible. For example, in previous videos we've mentioned philosophical zombies. From what we know about consciousness, which admittedly isn't much, there's no logical contradiction in the claim that zombie worlds exist. Worlds where there are complete physical duplicates of human beings, but with no conscious experiences. Therefore, we can say that zombies are metaphysically possible. There are no zombies in our actual world, although there is a possible world in which zombies exist. The realm of metaphysically possible things is where we find all the weird and wonderful things in philosophy that have been posited over time. Here we find the Platonic forms, abstract perfect representations of objects that exist in some extra-mental realm. We can also find necessary beings such as God, and other strange things such as unicorns and Superman. All these things exist in the metaphysical realm, and the competition is being held in the minds of philosophers right now to decide once and for all which of these things actually exist. But for now, that's been it for this year's Questionable Entities Games. Thank you very much for coming, and I hope to see you all next year.